So we're taking a look here at AKTX. Big mover on Friday, up 58%. It jumped up from a low of 770 pre-market all the way to a high of 1135 at the end of day after hours. And then held that kind of 1060 area. It closed at 1087 after hours. Big news here on AKTX. Had some news from the FDA and also some trials coming up. Might have a big run up into news on the trials and results. It jumped up to almost $10 there and then got smacked back down. Came down to support there at 823. Bounced around 823 for a while. And then around 11 o'clock, it started to move higher. You can see just big moves here. This stock kind of just jumps up, comes down, jumps up, comes down. Just really abrupt out of nowhere, just jumps up. But then overall, it's kind of following this trend line here. So I had this trend on this chart. It jumps from 842 up to resistance there at 970, 980, kind of the high from earlier on that big push in the morning. And then gets smacked back down. It comes down, follows this trend, and keeps moving higher. So you can see it bounces off that $9 area, kind of has support there for a little bit. Moves all the way up to 1062, breaks through that resistance there. Just straight green candles all the way up. Looking at that, I mean, it's just literally green, all the way up. And big move, so just consistent move there. Volume increasing. Volume went from 8,000 shares traded per minute to 250,000 shares traded, all the way up, increasing into this move. So big move there, very bullish. So volume increases. It moves up to 1026 there. Comes down a little bit, bounces around there, and then moves higher up to 1060. So great move there in AKTX. A lot of volume. So that's good confirmation that this is very bullish. Looking for, big upside. We traded it a couple times on Friday. Also, I bought some shares before end of day, looking to hold this over the weekend. AKTX. Make sure you have us on your radar. We're looking for a big move, possibly pre-market or at open on Monday. There's a possible move that we're seeing here, to $12.50, $13 area. It had a high of $11.35. It broke through resistance there from earlier at $11 on the chart. You can see it got through up to $11.18 there right before close. Came back down, bounced off that 1060 area. Looking at this is pretty interesting. So 1060 was resistance earlier in the day. It bounced off that 1060 a while, had resistance there. Came through 1060, got up there again, kind of started bouncing around that area. You can see it's following this trend up through the day. It broke through the trend a couple times, but overall it's kind of just been sticking around that trend area. Had the solid support here at 980, 970 area. So after bouncing off that 980, it jumped up there to that 1038, had resistance there, kind of bounced around, followed the trend line, broke through trend, came back down to that 990 support area, and then shot up to 1080, came down, followed the trend again, and kept moving higher. Had a little squeeze here, had this resistance, had that trend moving higher, so it squeezed through that resistance up to the next resistance at 11 and through there. So great move there. Only 139,000 shares traded. We had 18 million shares traded on Friday, so a lot of movement, a lot of people talking about this, a lot of action on AKTX. People are expecting big news next week, more PR that is going to send us higher. In the last couple of days, we've had some big movers like CBIO, HTGM, a couple other bio stocks that jumped up, 100, 200% in one day. And that's what this is setting up to look like right now. After it got through that $11 area, it came back down to that support at 1062, bounced off that support 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times there, and headed higher up to a high of day at 11:35 after hours. Still closing very bullish. Big move here. 138,000 shares traded from that 1066, 1110 area. So a lot of action there, a lot of buying. 138,000 shares traded into close last minute of the day. So only 11,000 shares sold off. And then kind of bounced around. It came down on really low volume, just obviously after hours on Friday, people just trying to get out, or retail buyers are just trying to sell before the weekend. And it's bounced off that 1060. It closed after hours at 1087. So keeping an eye on this one. Monday morning, going to look for that hold of 1060. Next support area being that 1030. If it breaks through 1030, it might come back down here and test this 970, 980 area. So keeping a close eye on it. I got in here at this 980, 990 area, and I'll be looking to sell up at the $12, $13 area. So I'll show you why I'm thinking $12, $13. If you zoom out here, you see previous resistance was at $12.32. It had this resistance from earlier in the year at $11. It broke through that. Not very strong, but still looking for a move higher. 18 million shares traded on Friday. I mean, normally the volume on this stock is 146,000 shares traded, 3,000 shares traded. So this is a lot. This is an insane amount of volume traded on this stock on Friday. So keeping a close eye on this. Something's going on. Not sure if this is just a total pump and then the dump is coming, but got in. I feel like at a safe area there at that 980, but I still think that 1030, 1060 is going to be a great support area Monday morning, depending on news and volume. We'll see what happens. If you zoom out even bigger, going on the daily chart, you see you have resistance up at the $16 area, $15 area, $14.86 kind of being resistance there. Big move here from that 660 area on Thursday up to $11 there on Friday. So this has momentum. This wants to go higher. I think with the right combination of shorts and longs trying to pile in here and trying to get action on money, this is going to go really high. First trading day of the month on April 3rd on Monday. So we're setting up for a lot of people just that want to get in, make big profits first day of the month. So there's going to be a bit of a battle here. I can't say for 100% if this is going to go through the roof on Monday. Either way, I think there's going to be a lot of volume on this trade on Monday. Keep an eye on this one, AKTX. If you look back even further at the weekly, this stock was at $60 back in 2014, I believe. This big gap here dropped from 62 all the way down to $11. Huge gap there. I'm expecting something happen with the FDA. Some bad news came out. That's how these bio stocks work. You get bad news of the FDA and it's gone. So you can see the last big move was from $5 up to $46 in a week. So looking at the volume here on this big move from $5 up to $46 in a week, you had 5 million shares traded. We've already blown through that move with 18 million shares traded just on Friday alone, 19 million shares traded on the weekly. So keeping a close eye on this AKTX. It's got a big setup here. Really depends what happens on Monday. Hoping that this momentum from Friday gets on the radar for everybody for Monday morning that wants to get in on this and see what happens. I'm going to look for that move up to $14. $12 area being resistance ahead from this $11 move. So I would be happy with that $14, $15 area. We'll keep a close eye on it. AKTX, we'll see what happens here. But either way, expecting some of that action to flow over to Monday either way. It's hard for 18 million shares to be traded on Friday and then Monday have no volume. So expecting a big day on Monday. Either way, make sure you keep an eye on AKTX. I'm expecting some kind of move to happen here, and we'll see what happens. Watch that 1060 area. Watch that 1030. If it breaks through 960, expect a really fast move down. So this could be a really good short as well. I'm going to play it either way. I'm going to keep an eye on it. Yes, I'm long right now, but you never know what happens. Monday comes around. If this wants to go down, I'll short it. If it wants to go up, I'll hold my long position. So we're going to keep a close eye on it Monday, like I said. This one needs to be on your radar, AKTX.